as tempting as it might be to look ahead, because everyone knows what's looming in about a week and a half, Michigan's got another game coming up. We're going to look back at the game that was, and we've got our signal caller, Jack, the signal caller, as we go inside the pocket, in the pocket. I don't know what it is. Right here on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday. We are back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I am your man on the ground as a whole publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. That's Jack, the signal caller, as we are in the pocket. Or we could call it in the in the huddle with Jack, the signal caller.
Always a little bit of banter to begin the session.
Just
to rile people up.
And just to rile people up. It's I never do anything different, because I grew up in the era of Conan O'Brien and Norm Macdonald, and repetition is funny. So, if you don't get the repetition, then it's not funny. Anyway, thank you to everyone who's making us your first listen. Thank you to all of our everydayers out there that check out the show every single day. We're going to look back at Northwestern for the first two segments, and then we're going to talk about what went right, what went wrong, and then we'll get into a little bit of looking ahead to Maryland this week. But let's go ahead and start, Jack, with as much as people want to downplay the game against Northwestern in the way of looking at what went wrong, I mean, I think there's a lot that went right. The offense maybe didn't have the points that showed it, but almost 500 yards. You had a much better quarterback play in general. You had a wide receiver who stepped up. Your boy Samaj Morgan is just tearing it up. Nope. It kind of got off a script there. Nonetheless, lots was working in Michigan's favor. So what did you like coming out of that Northwestern game? And how much do you feel like they can build on the good things with these final two regular season games?
Yeah, and the good was good. The bad was really bad against Northwestern this past Saturday. And there were some exciting things. You know, I saw some hateful comments towards Wink Martindale. I could not disagree more with those people, Isaiah. I could not disagree more with them. And I think the whole offensive staff and anyone else on the staff should be buying Wink Martindale an early Christmas present after, the performance he had and the defense had Saturday, because let's just talk about their stats a little bit, okay? Let's talk about it for the naysayers and people talking trash about Wink, okay? Northwestern was held to the second lowest offensive output they've had the whole year. And granted, it's Northwestern, whatever. That's still impressive, okay? 61 rushing yards, really good. Only held them to 11 first downs. 2 out of 12 on third downs. You know how bad that is for Northwestern? That is a horrible third down conversion percentage. And for the defense to be able to do that and get them off the field is beautiful. So great job there again. Jordan Young with the amazing stop to get the ball back. Great job there. Held their QB under 50% completion percentage. The stops in the red zone were unbelievable. Michigan really should have been Northwestern up by a touchdown if they don't stop them in the red zone and force them to kick the field goals. And, especially with the amount of turnovers from the offense and the special teams, Wink being able to, handle that and the defense stepping up to the plate is a great job by the Wolverines defense. Jay-Sean Barham, absolute stud, leading that unit. Jimmy Rolder leading that unit. Some young bucks stepping up. I want to give a couple other shout outs and to players I really liked their performance Saturday. Bryce Kozdal did a phenomenal job on the offensive side. The running back used to be a walk-on, made some huge plays. Although he had that fumble, I don't know if he was set up to succeed in that play. I disagree with some stuff there, but outside of that, he's done a great job. He's earned all the praise he's gotten. That kid has worked harder than a lot of people I know at the walk-on position, and he's earned his spot and his praise there. Jordan Young, as I said before, he's done a beautiful job and has a lot of talent for a true freshman. A couple other people Bryce, I thought, did a wonderful job at the beginning of the game. He looked like a complete quarterback there. And that's what you want to see throughout the whole game. We'll get into some of his mistakes later on, but that's what he can be. That's what he can be. And it was exciting to see that he was playing that polished early on, and he's got to keep, looking for that and playing like that the rest of the year. Like you said, they found Andrew Marsh. We've been talking about this the whole year, Isaiah. We have. It's been Andrew Marsh, Donovan McCulley. Those are the two receivers. We've been preaching it. People didn't believe us, told us, those aren't the receivers. They need to keep stepping up. Those are the receivers. There are two really good receivers. They're playing well, and they need to keep getting them the ball, especially, whatever way they can. I don't want to over dramatize it, but those two have done a great job, and they have to keep getting the ball if they want to win.
Yeah, it was really impressive to see. I mean, Andrew Marsh, 189 yards in the contest. And like you mentioned, a lot that went right. And right, like you talk about started with the defense there. And I just don't think that people are recognizing, like, I'll put it this way. I talked briefly to both Lou Esposito and Wink Martindale after the game, and both kind of gave like big sighs of relief, kind of given like everything that they had gone through, constant sudden change, being able to hold, like, Northwestern, like, this is a decent Northwestern team, right? Like, going into the bye week. So 2 weeks ago, Northwestern was 5-3, and all the comments I was getting, mailbag types, responses on Twitter, all of that stuff was really afraid of Northwestern, recognizing that this was a good Northwestern team. The offense might not have been like high flying, but you saw in the game that those receivers can come down with the football. They can make circus catches. They can get open. And I think holding them in the run game, which is the whole point going into that game for me, was stop the run the football. And I thought that one of the things that Michigan obviously did the best was stopping the run against a team that is very good at running the football.
Absolutely.
Not at the same caliber as Michigan, but like significantly better than most of the teams that they face on the schedule at running the football. And then go ahead, sir.
You kind of hit on it though a little bit before. You said, the sudden changes. I want people to understand that the ball being turned over, being -5 in the turnover battle, that is usually you're buried in your grave and it's a loss and you're going home upset. For the defense to be able to continually stop it and get the offense back on the field, people need to understand, when you lose the turnover battle and lose it that bad, you lose the football game. And somehow, and it was through a combination of them being able to get Northwestern off the field on third downs and making other big plays. That's what overcame that turnover deficit and allowed them to win the game.
Yeah, and I want to continue on with some of the good stuff. We'll do that, I think, in the next segment, because I don't know if we'll use the whole segment to talk about the bad stuff necessarily. But there's some other things, like you touched on, Bryce, and I want to get to that. And let's do that here in just a moment. But before we do, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for an even bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Jack, I think we need to spend a little bit more time on Bryce. I mean, so we can kind of make this segment a little bit more Bryce good, Bryce bad, all of that, Bryce in between. Because, I mean, like you said, he showed you what he's capable of. Unfortunately, he also showed you what he's capable of. And it was a little bit of both worlds. But, I mean, a lot of the issues going into the game were the last game and a half, where he was very clearly uncomfortable with the pass protection, looked like he was a lot more comfortable with it. He also seemed like he was controlling a little bit more of it, and that maybe made him feel more comfortable from my eyes as a layman. And but I think, and I'm losing my thought here, but let me see if I can find it again. Oh yeah, Northwestern had a really stout, however you want to look at it, pass defense. I went into this game thinking, if they're able to pass the ball on Northwestern, they might not be able to pass the ball on anybody, but it goes a long way with the game that they have coming up in a week and a half. What are your thoughts about what he was able to do for 3 quarters against what had looked like a Northwestern team that shut down everybody except for Jaden Mayava to that point?
It was super promising from my point of view, and like I talked about earlier, when he had 100% completion percentage earlier on in the game. He looked really good. They had a diverse amount of play calls. They had RPOs, quick game, rollouts. They had some shots, stuff to get the ball out of his hand. It looked really clean. And, the good stuff happened early, like we talked about, because, again, it was the first time Northwestern was seeing those kind of plays. And, they hadn't made any adjustments yet. Right. And this is why the transition happened over the game, where it was good, and then slowly bad, because, Bryce has done a beautiful job in improving in, his reads and his progression abilities, when to run, when not to run. But now as a quarterback, it's time to get to the sideline and, okay, they might bring the safety down to adjust to this RPO for us. So if I see it and it's not there, I just have to run the ball. And that's stuff that a lot of quarterbacks do. And, I've done plenty myself where I've made the mistake. Okay, I had this one time, I'm probably going to have it again. And then it turns out poorly, like it did in the game. And there was an interception on the same RPO, the banger out to Donovan, because he thought it was going to be there because he had it the first time. And the safety came down right in that middle area and just sat on it. And he threw a pick. And it's funny, Devin Gardner and I, we work together. We're talking about that. We're like, wow, that first one was a really good throw by Bryce. If they run that play again, I hope he just sees that safety if they, stay in the middle there. So it sucks that it happened, but it's a learning lesson for him. Just reconfirm that, okay, the safety's sitting right in the middle. Okay, now I'm just going to hand it off, or I'm just going to kill it, end the play. Don't make a bad play worse. But there's learning points. And the promising thing is he can fix all that and he can grow.
How much do you think that because the way I kind of look at it, and I understand a lot of people look at me as being sunny side up when it comes to Michigan. But the way I look at this, and having a lot of really good and then a couple really bad, having essentially a really bad quarter up until that final drive, is that, okay, this happened now. It happened against Northwestern. It didn't happen against Ohio State. And these are things, like you said, that can be fixed, should be fixed. So how advantageous, though, on top of it, is that Michigan has been in these dogfights the last few weeks. Ohio State has been in one all year, and it was against Texas. And Arch Manning was a disaster that entire game. How advantageous is it for Bryce and Michigan to kind of be in these situations now where Ohio State hasn't been in them? Given that, Julian Sayin hasn't seen a Wink Martindale defense. The defense is playing a lot better. Now, granted, Michigan, you can flip the coin and say, Michigan hasn't seen Julian Sayin, hasn't seen that Ohio State offense. It's certainly going to be the best that they've seen all year. But how much do you think it helps Bryce and just Michigan in general to be in these scenarios where they've had the 5 turnovers? They found themselves in 3 straight very close games. Michigan State wasn't really that close, but nonetheless, they find themselves in these fights. How much do you think that helps for a week and a half from now?
I think that keeps this team on edge 100%. I think they're going to stay 100% locked in and just say, hey, we need to keep going. We need to get better. There's going to be, the blood's going to be pumping. Guys are going to be taking everything seriously. There's not going to be any let off. There's promise in that. And that's the good thing about close games is, we shouldn't have lost. We shouldn't have won that game by 1 point. We should have won it by 3 touchdowns. We need to improve and improve now. And that's the good part about it. Now, the bad part about it at times is there could be a loss of confidence because you're saying, oh, we only beat Northwestern by that much. Shoot. And vice versa. And you're looking at Ohio, we're clobbering everybody. We have a lot of confidence going into Michigan. But then again, same story happened last year, right? And they felt super confident in themselves, and big letdown at Ohio Stadium. So I would assume for them down there, I don't think they're going to take this game lightly. I don't think anyone's going to take this game lightly. It's going to be a giant game. They have to come to Ann Arbor this year. They're coming in with a freshman quarterback. It's going to be a hostile environment for them. I don't think either side is going to be letting off the gas or one way or another. But both teams, especially our team, the one we cheer for and want to win, has to come in there with a lot of confidence and run the football, because that's been one of the key factors in this game. Not to get ahead of Maryland. We can't. They got to stay eyes on Maryland, but they have to run the football well and control the time of possession to win that game. That's been the key in that battle over the past couple of years.
Well, let's move on to Maryland, because there's certainly a lot of challenges that come with that. Sorry for, again, I can't turn off the sounds of when I get random texts when I'm doing the live shows. Doesn't excuse when I'm not doing the live show. But anyway, we will get to Maryland and beyond here in just a moment. But before we do, college football is back, and I could not be more excited, and it's almost over too, and I could be a lot less excited about that. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Listen, I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. You want to get into that game at SECU Stadium, whatever it's called these days. The app makes it super simple. I can even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I love the zone deals too. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, Jack. So one of the things we didn't touch on, we kind of did, but we didn't really, is Michigan has been very turnover. Bryce Underwood in particular has been very turnover prone the last couple games. They're going up against a team that loves to turn the ball over. It's the one thing that they do extremely well on defense, is force you into turnovers. And Malik Washington on the other end, he was turnover prone earlier in the season. As Wink Martindale pointed out today, he's a little bit less so as we move on. What are the dangers that you see in this game coming up for Michigan?
Yeah, and Isaiah, when you look at the history with Maryland, you remember that game in 23 when we went to Maryland?
I blocked it out of my mind. Yes,
exactly. You want to block it out of your mind, right? It was a dangerous game. I almost started that game. Looking back at it, JJ was hurt. He was playing that game injured, and he really just toughed it out because he's a beast. But that's the game. I was banged up with my elbow, and JJ was banged up. I almost started the game because he was so banged up, his knee, and he's an absolute beast and fought through that game. We ended up winning because Blake got that first down and went down. Trente got that penalty. But it's been a battle against Maryland the past couple of years, even in the Big House. You remember when they came in 2022? I wasn't there at that time. This game is not going to be easy, and their offense is better than Northwestern's. Malik Washington is an absolute stud, and he's a true freshman quarterback who can absolutely sling the rock. So this defense has a lot to handle. They got really good receivers on the outside, a good scheme. The problem is going to be for Maryland is stopping Michigan's pass rush, and that's what Wink is going to, I guarantee, focus on. He's going to bring some exotic blitzes, and that's going to be, Maryland's challenge is stopping Michigan's D-line. And that's one strength I feel Michigan has in this game. And I believe that they're going to lean on. On the other side of it, Maryland's defense is really young. They have some really, really, really good edge rushers and defensive line, but they're also freshmen, sophomore. They have a young group of guys, young group of linebackers back there. They have a lot of potential. They're going to get better as the years go on, but Michigan's also young on offense. So this is going to be, a test. Can they run the football against that, young but good Maryland defensive line and linebacker core? That's going to have to set the tone for the Michigan offense. Can Bryce stay composed like he was against Northwestern at the beginning of the game? And can he have one of those games building into Ohio State? That's what you want to see. And after this game, you want to feel good. Okay, I had a clean game. We played good. Here comes the momentum going into week 12 against Ohio State.
Now, the way that I kind of posited a couple of weeks ago going into this 3-game stretch, right, was you had Purdue where you got an opportunity mostly defensively to see if you could slow down their passing offense. And Michigan did exactly that, right? Like it didn't necessarily feel like it in game, but Purdue had its lowest output of the season. On the other end, coming out of that game, you wanted to see against Northwestern 2 different things. I said I wanted to see that they could stop the run because that's what Northwestern was really good at. And I think you still saw that those running backs could run the football. They had some opportunities, but they still held them to their second lowest output. And on the other side, you saw that I wanted to see that Michigan could pass the ball against a very good pass defense. And they were able to do both of those things. So with that in mind, I had my thoughts on what I wanted to see out of this Maryland game, but I thought both of those games prepared you for this, which prepares you for Ohio State. What do you want to see against Maryland in particular?
I want to see a game just plain and simple. You want to see Michigan dominate this game, Isaiah. That's what you want to see as a fan, as a coach going into the next game. You're not truly focused on it, but you want to just get in this game, dominate the game, get out of it, and prepare for the next week. And to do that, they just have to, like I said, they got to stay focused, one play at a time, drive down the field, no turnovers this game. Let's keep the ball out of Maryland's hands. Let's not make it a dangerous game. And let's just dominate. Let's dominate, guys. That's the one true goal this week I feel like they should have is let's get after it. Let's play clean.
You mentioned 2023. One of the games that I've been mentioning the last couple weeks is 2021, which they also played the week before. No one, just about. I don't want to say no one because I had intimated to our friend Jake Butt coming out of the MSU game. He can attest to this. On the way home from MSU, I said, this gives me weirdly more confidence that they'll beat Ohio State. No, does that make sense? No, but I definitely said that at that time. But there was no indication until that Maryland game when they won 59-18, I think is what the final score was, that they were going to be able to have a game like that. Really, outside of playing some of the teams that they played in the very early part of the season. So with that in mind, do you think it's feasible that Michigan could dominate Maryland? That they could come in? Because what I want to see is just, I think that they'll still make some mistakes. I think they'll make some mistakes in the Ohio State game. It's just about overcoming them. I want to see the defense play like it did against Purdue and the offense play like it did without turning the football over as many times against Northwestern. Do you think that's feasible, or am I imagining that that's possible?
Isaiah, 100%. This team has a ton of talent. They have the guys to do it. They have the ability to dominate games. What it really is getting the correct call, getting the offense in a rhythm. It starts with the staff. It starts with the staff, 100%. The players have to take care of the ball and do their jobs. And if they do that, they have the talent and ability and the leadership in the players to dominate the game. They really do. And, it's going to be a one play at a time mentality. They can't get too far ahead of themselves. But if they do that, they're going to be just fine, and they should dominate this game.
Last one for you. If Jordan Marshall, if he, there's rumors out there that he might not be able to play in this game. I would say it's less wouldn't be able to, and more like, hey, we can do this without you, big dog. Let's not make your injury worse. If it's Bryson Kozdal, who you've been around, and Jasper Parker, who you've kind of slightly been around, if it ends up being those guys, how confident are you that Michigan's going to be able to do what it wants to do still?
At the beginning of the season, we talked about there was a lot of injuries up front, and I'm kind of switching your question just a little bit just to start with the boys up front. And we talked about the injuries, how we may be a little worried with the O-line, but the O-line has come along they've come along so far since the beginning of the season. The young guys, you got Blake Frazier, Jake Winera, those guys have come a long way and set the tone up front and allowed the running backs to run the ball. I mean, they're giving these guys lanes is sometimes for cars to drive through. And you just got to rely on those guys that have been playing well. Yeah, they're young, but, Bryson Kozdal, I believe in. Jasper Parker, I believe in. It's next up mentality for them. And that's the way it's always been at Michigan and has to remain that way this week at Maryland. And those guys need to step up in a big way this week. And I do. I have true belief. Kuz is a tough player, very fast, and he's going to have to protect the football. The biggest thing with that, you have new running backs, right? We saw a little bit last game on one of the turnovers. You have new running backs. The mesh point, ball security needs to be at an all-time high for the guys handling the football.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks to our signal caller, Jack, who is in the huddle, in the pocket. I don't know. He's in something. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will be back with the Manifesto and Connor Stallions on Thursday. Talk to you then. Peace.